Today we open with the words from Proverbs 6:19, "A false witness that uttereth lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren." In the heart of this verse, we find a profound wisdom that guides us towards unity and honesty. When we speak of a false witness, we're talking about someone who knowingly distorts the truth, causing harm and confusion. This is a grave offense in the eyes of God, for it shatters trust and spreads deceit. Similarly, he that soweth discord among brethren refers to one who stirs up conflict and division within a community. Again, this is a serious sin, as it erodes the bonds of brotherhood and fellowship that are so central to our faith. So, what can we learn from this? Quite simply, to embrace honesty in all our dealings and to foster unity among our brethren. As we delve into this topic, let's remember the importance of these virtues. To understand the depth of this proverb, we'll explore the 7 sins that are often taught within the Christian faith. First, we have pride, often seen as the original and most serious of the sins. It is an excessive belief in one's own abilities. Secondly, greed, the desire for material wealth or gain, ignoring the realm of the spiritual. The third sin, lust, is an intense desire. It is usually thought of as excessive sexual wants, but the sin of lust can extend to other areas as well. Next, we have envy, the desire for others' traits, status, abilities, or situation. Gluttony, the 5th sin, is an inordinate desire to consume more than that which one requires. Following this, we have wrath, which is manifested in the individual who spurns love and opts instead for fury. Lastly, sloth, the avoidance of physical or spiritual work. These sins, as you will see, are interconnected and deeply rooted in our everyday life. Firstly, we explore pride, often considered the original and most serious of the 7 sins. Pride is a bit like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It often disguises itself as self-confidence, a trait that's usually praised, but don't be fooled. Pride is more than just an inflated sense of self-worth. It's an overbearing love for oneself, a sense of superiority over others. Imagine a friend who refuses to admit a mistake, even when they're clearly in the wrong. That's pride at work. It can drive a wedge between people, causing discord and resentment. Pride can also lead us to lie or deceive to protect our image. It's a slippery slope that can quickly lead to other sins. But why does this matter? Because pride puts our focus on ourselves, not on others or on God. It blinds us to our own shortcomings and prevents us from growing and learning. Pride, as you can see, can lead us down a dangerous path. Next, we tackle greed, a sin that often blinds us to our blessings. Greed is an intense and selfish desire for something, whether it's wealth, power, or even food. It's like a ravenous wolf, never satisfied, always craving more. Picture this. You're at a feast with a bountiful spread, yet you're so focused on filling your plate, you forget to appreciate the food in front of you. That's what greed does. It blinds us, makes us overlook the blessings we have, and leads us to desire what we don't need. The implications are far-reaching. Greed can sow seeds of discord, breeding jealousy and resentment. It can lead us down a path of dishonest gain, sacrificing our integrity for material possessions. But we must remember, life isn't about accumulating wealth or possessions. It's about love, kindness, and spiritual growth. Greed can make us forget what truly matters. Now we take on lust, envy, and gluttony, sins that often stem from misplaced desires. Let's begin with lust. Lust is a powerful longing for physical pleasures, often sexual in nature. It's a fire that can consume us if left unchecked, turning our focus from love and respect towards objectification and selfish gratification. For instance, if we allow lust to guide our relationships, we risk reducing others to mere objects of our desires, rather than recognizing their worth and dignity. Next comes envy. Envy is the distress or resentment we feel when someone else has something we lack, a possession, a trait, or a status. If we let envy rule us, we lose our ability to appreciate what we have, and our happiness becomes tied to the fortune of others. Let's say, for example, we envy a friend's success. Instead of feeling joy for them or using their achievement as inspiration, we might feel bitter or inadequate, which can harm our relationships and our self-esteem. Finally, we have gluttony. Gluttony is an overindulgence or overconsumption of anything to the point of waste. It's not just about food, but also about an insatiable desire for more than we need. Think about someone who hoards possessions, even when they have more than they can use. This excess can blind us to the needs of others and the value of moderation. These sins, lust, envy, and gluttony, are all about misplaced desires. They can lead us to view others as objects, to measure our worth by what we lack, and to prioritize our wants over our needs or the needs of others. They can create discord in our relationships and foster dishonesty within ourselves as we lose sight of our true values in the pursuit of fleeting satisfaction. Misplaced desires can lead us astray, causing us to lose sight of what's truly important. Lastly, we confront wrath and sloth, two sins that can damage both ourselves and those around us. Wrath, often interpreted as uncontrolled feelings of anger and hate, can lead us down a path of aggression and hostility. It's like a wildfire. Once ignited, it can spread rapidly and consume everything in its path. Wrath is not just about physical violence. It's also about emotional and psychological harm. It's about the harsh words we might say in a fit of anger, the grudges we hold, and the resentment that can poison our hearts. Then there's sloth, a sin often misunderstood. Sloth isn't just about physical laziness, it's about spiritual laziness too. It's about neglecting what we ought to do, whether it's our duties to others, our responsibilities to ourselves, or our obligations to God. Sloth is the resistance to effort and the desire to rest in the comfort of inaction. It's the preference for the easy path, the path of least resistance, that can lead to a life of missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. Both wrath and sloth can lead to discord and dishonesty. Wrath can cause us to act impulsively, to harm others without thinking about the consequences. It can lead to broken relationships, lost friendships, and a life filled with regret. On the other hand, sloth can lead to a life of complacency and stagnation. It can prevent us from reaching our full potential, from living a life of purpose and meaning. But the good news is, we can overcome these sins. By practicing patience and kindness, we can temper our wrath. By cultivating discipline and perseverance, we can combat sloth. It's a journey, a process of growth and transformation. And remember, it's okay to stumble and fall. What matters is that we pick ourselves up and keep moving forward. Wrath and sloth, when unchecked, can cause irreparable harm to our relationships and our spiritual growth. But with awareness, understanding, and effort, we can overcome them and become the best versions of ourselves. Having explored each sin, we can see how they interconnect and fuel each other. Pride, the first sin we discussed, often acts as a catalyst, sparking off the other sins. It can lead to greed as we crave more than what we have, and lust when we desire what isn't ours to take. Envy too springs from pride when we feel slighted or inferior. Gluttony, the excessive desire for more, is intrinsically linked to greed and lust, as is wrath, a destructive reaction to not getting what we want. Lastly, sloth, the avoidance of physical or spiritual work, can be a byproduct of all these sins, when they leave us feeling overwhelmed and defeated. These sins are not just actions, but states of mind that can steer us off the path of unity and truth. They are the antithesis of the virtues that help us build a more compassionate, understanding, and harmonious world. It's clear that these sins can lead us away from unity and truth, which is why they are so deeply frowned upon. In the face of these sins, we find solace and guidance in prayer. You see, prayer isn't just a request line to the heavens. It's a conversation, a dialogue with our Creator. It's a spiritual discipline that helps us align our hearts with God's, allowing us to better understand His will and His ways. When we stumble into the pitfall of pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth, prayer becomes our lifeline, pulling us back towards the path of righteousness. It reminds us of our inherent worth and the love that God has for each and every one of us, despite our flaws. Let's close with a powerful prayer. Dear God, grant us the strength to resist these 7 sins. Help us to remain humble, generous, pure, content, disciplined, peaceful, and diligent. Guide us in our daily walk so that we may always reflect your love and truth. Amen. May we always find strength in prayer and strive to avoid these sins, keeping our hearts focused on unity and truth.